Have you ever imagined walking through those airport arrival doors, heart-pounding, passport in your sweaty hand, only to see the immigration officer's smile fade into that cold, unreadable stare? That split second when your dream trip starts turning into a slow-motion nightmare? That's the moment most travelers never prepare for. They prepare their suitcases, their flight tickets, their hotel bookings, but not that moment. The moment when one tiny mistake can make an entire country close its gates on you. See, most people think getting denied entry happens only to criminals or people with fake visas. Wrong. It happens to regular, honest travelers every single day. And the reasons are so absurdly simple that it almost feels unfair. But that's the secret no one on YouTube really talks about. Because it's not about paperwork. It's about psychology, perception, and tiny human errors that border officers are trained to see instantly. And once they sense something's off, you're done. No appeal, no second chance. Just a stamp that says entry denied, and you're escorted to the next flight out. Sounds dramatic? It is, but it happens far more often than you think. The first mistake starts long before your flight even lands. It begins with your story. Most travelers don't realize that immigration officers are trained interviewers, better than most cops. They read your tone, your eyes, the rhythm of your answers. And the biggest mistake? Sounding too rehearsed. That's right, too perfect. When you speak like you memorized your reason for travel, they immediately sense you're hiding something. Officers don't just listen to your words. They study the gaps between them. A nervous pause, a quick swallow, or a fake laugh. Those are red flags. I once met a guy named Lucas who flew from Chicago to London for what he said was a short vacation. Sounds innocent, right? But when the officer casually asked, "Who's meeting you there?" he stuttered, No one really. Maybe a friend." Boom. Red flag. The truth? He was planning to work illegally for a few weeks. But he didn't even get the chance. The officer printed a slip marked refused entry, and Lucas was sent back on the same flight. The irony? He hadn't broken any law yet. Just sounded like he might. That's mistake number one. Your story doesn't sound like you. The second mistake happens right at the counter when you hand over your documents. It's not about having a visa or not, it's about consistency. Officers compare your arrival card, visa, hotel booking, and return ticket in seconds. If one tiny detail doesn't line up, like your hotel checkout being later than your return flight, or your stated income not matching your trip's cost, they get suspicious. And when suspicion enters the room, you've already lost. I once saw a woman from Texas in the Tokyo airport explaining that she was visiting for 5 days. The officer noticed her return ticket was for 8 days later. She laughed nervously and said, "Oh, I just wanted some flexibility." But flexibility isn't something immigration likes. To them, it screams uncertainty, and uncertainty means possible overstay. They denied her entry right there. Her bags never even left the belt. So mistake number two, inconsistency kills credibility. Even a small mismatch can turn your welcome into rejection. Now the third mistake might surprise you because it's something most travelers think is harmless. Your attitude. Yep. Your facial expression, your body language, the vibe you carry. Ever seen someone get defensive at the counter? Or try to joke their way through? Officers don't find that charming. They find it suspicious. They're trained to see what psychologists call micro-reactions. So if you roll your eyes, sigh, or even glance away too quickly when questioned, they might flag you as uncooperative. And if you ever say something like, "Why are you asking that?" you've practically written your own denial slip. There was this American traveler named Megan who landed in Bali. When the officer asked about her accommodation, she smiled and said, "You guys always ask too many questions." She thought she was being funny. They thought she was being evasive. She spent the next 6 hours in the holding area before being put back on her flight. So yes, your attitude is your visa's shadow. Lose control of it, and you lose your entry. Mistake number 4 goes deeper. It's about digital footprints. This is where most travelers are totally unaware. You think border control is only looking at your passport? Think again. Many countries now use AI-linked systems that analyze your travel history, online presence, and sometimes even your social media activity. Yes, really. You post on Instagram, "Finally quitting my job and moving abroad," and then apply for a tourist visa. The officer might have already seen it before you land. The systems flag inconsistencies between what you post and what you claim. And it's not paranoia, it's 2025 technology. Governments share data faster than airlines do. There was a Canadian guy who went viral for this. He got denied entry into Thailand because his TikTok posts suggested he was offering digital marketing services while on a tourist visa. He didn't even earn a dime from it. But to immigration, that was working without a permit. Denied. No refund. So the modern mistake? Your digital self tells a different story than your real self. And then comes mistake number 5. The silent killer. Overconfidence. You think you're fine because you've traveled before, because you know how things work. But borders change rules quietly, without notice. An entry condition that was fine last year might now be a violation. People get too relaxed. They assume officers will understand. They forget that border control is not customer service. It's security. One traveler told me he entered Dubai multiple times for short business trips. On his 5th visit, they pulled him aside. "You've been entering too frequently," they said. "We suspect you're working here without authorization." He tried explaining, showing his company ID, his emails. None of it mattered. He was blacklisted for a year. Same man, same passport, same story, different outcome. Why? Because complacency blinds even experienced travelers. But here's the twist that nobody on YouTube tells you. These mistakes are not random. They all come from one hidden factor: your travel energy. Sounds crazy, but it's real. Immigration officers don't just read your documents. They read you. They sense hesitation, entitlement, fear, arrogance, even desperation. Every traveler walks in with an invisible energy signature, and that's what decides the outcome faster than any paperwork. I met an officer once who said, "We know within the first 30 seconds whether we'll let someone in or not. The rest is just confirmation." That's chilling. Think about it. 30 seconds to decide your fate in a foreign land. You could have spent months planning that dream vacation, and it can vanish in half a minute just because your voice shook when you said, "I'm here for tourism." So what's the secret weapon? Authenticity. When your energy, documents, and story all match naturally, officers relax. They feel your truth without effort. You don't have to act confident. You just have to be consistent. Travelers who get denied aren't always liars. They're just misaligned. They act one way, talk another, and think something else. The officer senses the dissonance and interprets it as deception. That's the science behind denied entries. It's not about luck or race or even language. It's about subconscious mismatch. And once you understand that, you hold the power to never face that nightmare again. Still think you're safe? Let me tell you about the man who thought he was too. His name was Aaron. He was 62, retired, gentle, polite. He'd traveled to over 30 countries without a single issue. He landed in Singapore carrying a return ticket and hotel booking. Everything perfect. But during a casual chat, the officer asked, "What brings you here this time?" Aaron said, "Oh, I just wanted to check out property prices. Maybe I'll buy something someday." He smiled, thinking it was harmless small talk. But that one sentence changed everything. To the officer, it meant intending to immigrate without proper visa. He was denied entry instantly. Imagine being that man, spending your retirement savings on a dream trip and getting turned away for a sentence you didn't think mattered. That's the power of words at borders. And this is where most people fail. They underestimate how precise you must be. Immigration is not about honesty alone. It's about clarity. The truth can still sound suspicious if you phrase it wrong. Say, "I'm staying with a friend," and forget to mention that the friend is female and not your girlfriend. Red flag. Say, "I'm visiting for work research" instead of "business meetings." Red flag. Every phrase carries hidden meaning, and border officers are experts at decoding it. So before your next flight, rehearse. not to sound perfect, but to sound clear. There's a difference. Perfection feels fake. Clarity feels real. Another unseen factor? Timing. Arriving at odd hours when officers are tired or understaffed actually increases your risk of being questioned longer. They have more time to scrutinize you because fewer passengers are arriving. It's an unspoken truth among frequent travelers. Early morning or peak arrival times are safer because officers are busier. They rely more on documents and less on instinct. Late at night, when the terminal echoes and fluorescent lights hum, that's when they start digging deep into your story. Ever notice how night flights feel colder? That's not the air. It's the atmosphere of scrutiny. Then there's appearance. No, not beauty. Presentation. A wrinkled shirt, messy hair, or even over-casual flip-flops can silently frame you as unserious. You might be perfectly innocent, but looking unprepared makes you look unreliable. In one case, a young man was denied entry into Australia because his clothes didn't match his claimed purpose. He said he was attending a tech seminar, but showed up in beachwear. The officer simply didn't believe him. So yes, fashion can affect your immigration status. It's absurd, but real. Dress how you want. But remember, first impressions are louder than passports. Now let's talk about something even deeper. The pre-interview silence. That quiet few minutes in line before your turn. Most travelers don't realize officers observe you even before you step up. Your posture, how you handle your phone, whether you're glancing nervously at others. They see it all. They can sense who's rehearsed, who's hiding something, and who's genuinely calm. It's almost like a silent audition for trust. That's why I always tell people, your interview starts the moment you enter the line, not the counter. And here's the part that really blows minds. Sometimes you can be denied even after being approved. Sounds impossible, right? But airports have multiple control points. You might clear immigration, collect your bag, and then a secondary officer can still re-interview you if something flags in the system. That's how people end up in those hidden airport detention rooms no one talks about. The ones behind those gray metal doors near customs. You can't see them from the arrival hall, but they exist. Inside, there are no smiles, no windows, just bright lights and cold chairs. It's where just one more question turns into a 6-hour interrogation. The only escape is calm, consistent answers. Anything defensive, and you're on the next outbound flight. So how do you protect yourself? Not by lying, not by memorizing, but by aligning. Align your story, documents, attitude, and energy. That's your invisible entry pass. And don't underestimate intuition. Officers rely on it more than the rule book. The best travelers I've met treat immigration like a performance. Not fake, but focused. They walk in with clarity, respect, and quiet confidence. No arrogance, no panic, just authenticity. That combination disarms even the toughest officers. And if you're wondering, can I really control how they see me? The answer is yes and no. You can't control their mood, their assumptions, or their country's rules. But you can control your preparation. Know your itinerary, keep your answers simple, and never volunteer extra information unless asked. That's another hidden trick. The more you say, the more chances you have to contradict yourself. Silence, used wisely, is power. Every airport has stories of heartbreak, honeymoons canceled, families separated, jobs lost, because of these 5 mistakes. And every single one could have been avoided. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Immigration isn't your enemy, but it's not your friend either. It's a gatekeeper. Your job is not to impress them. It's to reassure them, speak truth, stay calm, and travel smart. So the next time you step off that plane and face that glass-walled counter, remember this moment. Remember these 5 silent mistakes that can destroy your travel plans before they even begin. And when that officer looks at you and says, "Purpose of visit," take a breath, Smile naturally, and let your truth speak for itself. Because sometimes the difference between being welcomed in and being sent home isn't your passport, it's your presence.